Like half of this isn't even true. Like half of the stuff in here is that it's not even what happened. If this ends up destroying Twitch, I'm not saying it's going to, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if their lack of integrity in terms of dealing with music is the end of Twitch.
Huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Owned.tv. Owned is your one-stop shop for all your stream aesthetic needs, whether it be overlays or alerts or panels or whatever. All of Owned's overlays that you're seeing here on the screen are modular, so if you and all your friends pick up the same one, say for example, the new Alpha Gaming overlay that they released in conjunction with this channel, none of you guys are gonna have the exact same overlay because you can pick and choose the different pieces that you want. So if you'd like to make the smart move like many from this community have already done, feel free to use the link in the description below. Pick up your own overlay pack today. By the way, that link helps support the channel, so thank you. And if you'd like 40% of checkoff, feel free to use code ALPHA at checkout.
Honestly, before we get into the actual article, I just want to show you like the thing that frustrates me the most, right? So they got this tweet, your frustration, confusion is justified, just nice for them to say. That's the credit I want to give them. Like at least being open and like recognizing it. This is literally like the first time they've recognized there's a problem. So that's great. Thank you, Twitch. You've needed to do that for a very long time. I'm glad you finally did it. That's about where it ends. Things can and should be better for creators than they have been recently. Here, the next few tweets will outline our plan for being better partners to creators. Okay, this next tweet. We were as surprised by the number of DMCA takedowns as you were. How can you be surprised? Like, you know, like corporate Amazon and Twitch content creation platform, massive. How do you not know this is gonna happen? I don't think that's true. Like before May, we received fewer than 50 per year. So you knew they were a thing. You had a massive company. You're not as surprised as we are because you run a massive online content company. Honestly, like that was the last part I read, like right before I started streaming. And that just, I'm trying not to let it like emotionally compromise me because I'm so frustrated. But anyway, can I be real with you? There's nothing in here. There's an acknowledgement in the beginning and then there's nothing. Things can and should be better for creators than they have been recently. And this post outlines our next steps to get there. Spoiler, it doesn't. Reason DMCA notifications. How do we get to this moment? Until May of this year, streamers, which is crazy. This is 2 months after Stream Beats came out. Conspiracy? I don't know. Maybe? Streamers receive fewer than 50 music-related DMCA notifications each year on Twitch. Beginning in May, however, representatives of the major record labels started sending thousands of DMCA notifications each week that targeted creators' archives, mostly for snippets of tracks and years-old clips. We continued to receive large batches of notifications. We don't expect that to slow down. It won't. This is another thing. They are 100% right. But they don't explain why they are 100% right. And that's one of the problems. We'll get into that in a second. There's a reason it's only going to get worse. This means two things. If you play recorded music on your stream, you need to stop doing that. They get into more detail. What they meant was if you play recorded music that you're not allowed to play. I don't like that they worded it this way. Because they go in basically contradict it later. 2, if you haven't already, you should review your historical VODs and clips that may have music in them and delete any archives that might. This is where we get into the problem because that is a lot of content. I don't even stream as much as most people, and that's like 12 hours of content every week that I've streamed. I've been streaming for the past like 4 years. So that's not an option. Let's get into the first problem. With this. They're presenting this as a solution. Spoiler alert. In this entire article, they don't even acknowledge the fact that people are getting DMCA strikes for deleted content. People have gotten DMCA strikes for content they've already deleted. They don't even acknowledge it. And they keep saying on here, you should review your VODs and clips and take them down when that doesn't do anything. This whole thing, by the way, if you're trying to get like the feel for this whole article, they do a lot to acknowledge that there's a problem, but they entirely skirt the fact that they are the problem. They've never, like, the whole thing is like, this is happening and it sucks and we're so sorry, but it's not our fault. Anyway, we were as surprised by the sudden avalanche of notifications as many as you were, which is terrifying if true, but it's not true, which is more terrifying that they would say that because they knew it was coming. When you have a company this big that puts content up there and you are getting 50 music related DMCAs a year, that's one every 7 days, you know it's going to happen. So don't say that. So while we continue to remove content targeted by these notifications as required by the DMCA, we understood VODs and clips from years ago may not necessarily reflect your current approach to music. Therefore, we paused the processing of strikes associated with these batch notifications in order to give you the tools, information, and time you needed to deal with them. You paused it for like 3 days and you didn't give us the tools or the information. You literally didn't give us any of these things. This whole thing is just skirting the blame. It's just saying we did everything we can. Like half of this isn't even true. Like half of the stuff in here it's not even what happened. This led to the current situation. You want to talk about real quick? Let's talk about what actually led to the current situation. What led to the current situation is Twitch ignoring copyright laws for years. A massive company who is not even the first one to deal with this. Like YouTube went through this like 8 years ago. This is not shocking to anybody who understands the industry, and no one should understand the industry better than someone than the social media platforms, especially the biggest social media platforms. So that's the first step, is Twitch ignoring the problem for years. Then when things started happening, them not fixing it. You still can't protect yourself from past streams. And so the problems, no matter what you do, are still going to be there because you can get copyright strikes for past stuff. And then something that also gets glossed over, stuff you don't hear about a lot, Soundtrack is partially to blame for this. Do you remember a couple weeks ago when the RIAA blasted Twitch for Twitch Soundtrack? They mention Soundtrack a little bit later here. Let me find it. Use a fully licensed alternative like Soundtrack by Twitch. The RIAA came out and said this isn't fully licensed. This is like a bare bones vehicle. This is like, hey, we built a car, and then you look at it and it's literally like the Flintstones car. It's like the wheel and you got to push it with your feet. Technically you're on the road. Is it street legal? No, they didn't secure the licenses they needed. It's not safe, and it pissed off the RIAA, and now they're making an example out of streamers, and they came in full force. If you guys don't believe me, hold on. They tweeted about it too, but there's this whole article about how mad the RIAA and major record labels are, how mad they are at Twitch and Amazon because of how poorly they handled it and how they found a way around it by making a poorly made soundtrack software that doesn't even secure the proper licensing. So that's how we got to this point. Creators manage their own VODs and clip libraries. You're rightly upset that the only option we provided was a mass deletion tool for clips, and that we only gave you 3 days notice. There it is. We only gave you 3 days notice. We did it. We finished the trifecta. We paused in order to give you the tools, information, and time. We should have given you more information, not building adequate tools. We only gave you 3 days. Twitch, we could have developed more sophisticated user-friendly tools a while ago. That we didn't is on us, and we could have provided creators longer period to address their VODs and clip libraries. That was a miss as well. We're truly sorry for these mistakes, and we'll do better. This is how they'll do better. This is all super vague. Remember the Brime? Like, do you remember Brime, how they had like a roadmap? This reminds me of that. Oh, and this paragraph was super confusing, by the way. This is really weird. Just so there's no confusion, to music creators, we pay public performance licenses in order for you to perform music live to your communities. You should also avoid using pre-recorded music and disabling VODs and clips unless you have the rights to the music and compositions. This like vaguely makes it this. First of all, it's really ironic that they said, and just so there's no confusion, and then they put a super confusing paragraph after that. What's that about? So are you saying like, as long as the music isn't recorded in the background, if I'm just like playing a riff or playing a song without background music, I'm allowed to do that? This is important. This is the first time you've ever told us anything about this. We need more details about that. And we have a partnered music streamer in here saying that's not true. This is the rest right here. It's useless. They don't provide the proper information. There's no way to get educated. Really, the answer, just use copyright-free music. It can be Stream Beats, it can be Pretzel Rocks, it can be Monster Cat Gold, it can be Epidemic Sound. I don't care. Just protect yourself. I would like you to use Stream Beats, of course. I won't lie to you guys. But like, for the most part, Stream Beats does very well. We're good. Use whatever music service you like best, and hope that pretty soon here, Twitch decides to fully delete content when you delete it. The frustration is threefold for me. The main frustration is, one, they keep talking about soundtrack like it's an actual option. They keep talking about deleting your clips, which is not true. They don't even acknowledge the fact. In this whole thing, they avoided talking about the fact that people are getting DMCA strikes for deleted clips. I don't know how Twitch is going to deal with this. They clearly don't know how to handle stuff like this. They clearly don't want to handle stuff like this. This entire thing was an excuse. If this ends up destroying Twitch, I'm not saying it's going to, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if their lack of integrity in terms of dealing with music is the end of Twitch. Wouldn't be shocked.